All right, class. Well, we're back to saving Shiloh. We're on chapter 13, I believe. And to kind of round out what happened last time, as you know, they went to Grandma Preston's funeral, and then they came back and found out that their house had been broken into, and the lantern is gone, and the knife is gone, and some shears are gone. And they're like, holy smokes, how could this happen? And the last person to see them leave was Judge Travers. So here we go, chapter 13. Okay, I have a blankie on because I'm in my basement and it's cold. Okay, so all right, and then the blizzard comes. We go back to school on Monday and the TV talking 3 inches of snow. But by the time the bus lets off that afternoon, it's 5 or 6 and still coming down. We're going to be snowed in, Daryl Lynn crows happily, dropping her coat on the floor. Becky looks worried, but Daryl Lynn grabs her hand and dances around and around the kitchen, telling her how we might not have to go to school for a whole week. Then Shiloh gets into the act, skidding around the linoleum and his toenails clicking and scratching. Well, I sure wish I'd got extra milk, says Ma. I could always make bread, and I've got beans and salt pork enough for an army, but there's not much substitute for milk. We can always put snow on our cereal, says Dear Lynn, laughing. Ma decides to get in the spirit of things, too, so she gets out our Valentine cookie cutter, and she and the girls make cookies while I carry in wood for a little pot-bellied stove we have in the living room. Our house has a furnace, but it don't work if the electricity goes out, so a couple years back, Dad put in a pot-bellied stove. Next best thing to a fireplace, Ma says. I know if I don't bring in the wood now and stack some more on the porch, I'm not going to be able to find the wood pile in another couple hours. Shiloh goes out with me and tries to tunnel through the snow with his nose, and I stack wood on the porch first. Then I stamp the snow off of my boots, and I make another couple trips from the porch to the stove inside. By this time, Shiloh's had his fill of snow and comes when I call. He plops down close to that pot-bellied stove and giving out some big contented sighs and his eyes closing, he wore himself out. Every time there's another report on TV about the blizzard nobody knew was coming, the Weather Bureau moves the numbers of inches up, 12 to 15 inches of snow. And one of the weathermen says now and a half an hour later, he's talking 2 feet of snow. Dad finally gets home about 8 and can hardly make up a driveway. He's got snow tires on the Jeep and 4-wheel drive, but the wind's blowing so the snow drifts are so big across the road. I can tell by the look on Ma's face when she hears that Jeep that it's about the best music in the whole world to her. Dad's real pleased to see all the wood I brung in. Good for you, Marty, he says. Last I heard, we're going to need every stick of it. They're talking 30 inches of snow now. Daryl Lynn squeals some more. I wake up the next morning and I look out the window in sheer wonder. Dad's stomping back in the house to say that he can't move the Jeep 1 inch. He'd have to shovel all the way down to the road and then couldn't go anywhere. The plow hadn't been down there either. Well, Daryl Lynn, looks like you got your wish, Ma says, turning the French toast over in the skillet. It's only the second time in all the years that Dad's worked for the post office, though, that he hasn't been able to get his Jeep through it, and he worries about people who are waiting for their pension checks. Even if the checks get through, nobody could get to a bank to cash them, says Ma. David calls, of course, and tells me that there's been plowed out yet down in Friendly either, and his dad is still trying to get to the newspaper office. Then Ma calls Aunt Hetty in Clarksburg to make sure that she's okay, and finally there's nothing else to do but to give in and being snowbound. Snow finally stops about noon, and Dad goes out with a yardstick to measure where it's flat in the yard. 31.5 inches, not counting 6 or 7 feet along the side of the house, and the shed where it's drifted. If we shovel a path to the hen house to get some feed to the chickens, us kids have to go out in it, of course. I take a shovel to dig a path from our porch to a tree just so Shiloh can do his business. Daryl Lynn and Becky, fat as clowns in their snowsuits and scarves wrapped around their faces, only their eyes peeking out, set to work digging a cave at one side of my path. But Becky no sooner sits down inside it than the other falls in on her. She's a squalling, looks like she got hit in the face with a cream pie, and I got to carry her into the house. I sure wish David Howard was here. We'd dig a tunnel all the way down to the road. We have a fine time, though, and go out and come in so many times that Ma just puts our caps and mittens beneath the pot-bellied stove to dry out, so they'll be ready again when we go back outside. The house smells like wet wool and Ma's home-baked bread. Daryl Lynn's cheeks are red as apples and her nose, too. She wouldn't be half bad looking if she'd just keep her mouth shut. By middle of the afternoon, though, Dad's getting calls saying that trees are down, power lines as well. The snow is wet and heavy like pudding, and plows can't get through to all the trees are cleared off the roads. They got a substitute mail carrier delivering what mail he can down in Friendly, and I know Dad wants in the worst way to be doing his own route. A matter of pride. Ma's cheerful, though, says we can toast marshmallows in the wood stove after supper, and then we watch a National Geographic special on alligators. But 15 minutes from the end, the TV goes out along with the lights. Hey, yells Daryl Lynn, what happened? What do you suppose? I say, the electricity went off. Ray, says Ma. Dad makes his way into the kitchen to get the flashlight. Well, he says, I imagine a transformer finally went out somewhere. I guess we're lucky that it waited till we at least had supper. We hang around the stove till the fire dies down, and then Dad don't want to put in any more wood in case the power is off for a long time. We need every bit of wood that we can find. Why don't we go to bed early to stay warm, and maybe the electricity will come back in the middle of the night, says Ma. And she gets out some candles to make an adventure of it. The girls go to bed without their baths because we all got wells out this way, and the electric pump won't bring up the water if the power is off. So the only water we got for drinking and cooking is what's left in the water heater right now. Shiloh and me are lucky because the wood stove's in the living room and we're sleeping on the couch. We got the warmest place of all. But when we get up the next morning, the house is cold as an ice chest. Dad's got his coat on over his pajamas and he's bringing in wood from the porch to feed the stove. Ma tells me to dress without washing up and nobody's to flush the toilet. Daryl Lynn immediately sets up a howl. It's going to stink in there, she cries. I ain't going to use no toilet that stinks. Ma turns on her suddenly. Daryl Lynn, I can think of 100 worse things that could happen to you, and I don't want to hear another word. You want to use the bathroom? You can potty out in the snow. That shuts Daryl Lynn up in a hurry. I smile. I can't help myself just thinking of Daryl Lynn with her backside out in the snowdrift. But I can see right off that today is not going to be near as much fun as yesterday. The wood stove's got a round top on it, not made for cooking, so Ma puts a pot over it upside down and grills our toast in its flat bottom. Everything takes twice as long to make, though. And finally, cold as we are, we settle for Cheerios and the last of the milk. It's right about then we hear the sound of an engine grinding out on the road somewhere. Snowplow, sings out Daryl Lynn, looking toward the window. No sight of anything, though. Don't look like there's any plow coming up along the country road. And then we see Judd's pickup. A plow blade in front, turning right up our driveway. Slowly, his wheels spinning, Judd pushes his way through the snowdrifts till he can't go no more. Then he backs up and makes another run at it. Well, we all go to the window to watch, and Dad steps out on the porch and waves. The pickup keeps coming, huge mounds of snow moving ahead of it every so often, and Judd turns the wheel, ramming into the snowbanks with the plow to get rid of his load. The snow sure isn't doing his truck any good, but Judd keeps at it, pushing a little bit farther each time before he backs off and makes it another run. Finally, he gets up as far as our porch. Judd, I sure do appreciate this, Dad calls. Judd rolls down his window. Thought you might need to get out. Won't you come in and warm up, Ma calls. A couple more folks I got to help out, Judd yells. Thanks anyway, and he makes a wide sweep to turn himself around and heads off down the driveway, pushing some more snow in front of him. If people would just give him a chance, I'm thinking. See how he's changed. But at the same time, I'm wondering, is that a new jacket he's wearing? And is that shotgun in the back of his truck I see resting above the back window? Is that really his? We'll have to find out, won't we? All right, till next week. Saving Shiloh will be on chapter 14. Have a very nice weekend. This is Thursday, but you're going to be watching this next week, so bye-bye.